Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. I'm Shaocheng, and the developer evangelist at the Agora. How are you guys doing? Cool. Yep. In today's webinar, we're going to talk about how to integrate the live chat feature into video communication application, which is powered by Agora Video SDK. So first of all, how many of you have already know Agora or are familiar with Agora Video SDK? What I'm doing, I'm going to start a poll right now, and so you guys can see pop up, and please select your answer, yes or no, so I can know that how many of you are already familiar with Agora. Okay. Hi, Samuel. Hi, Paul. Inside Unity, yeah, we do have Unity and connection. Cool. All right. I see around 57. It's 57 people say yes. 43 said no. So yeah, I'm glad that more than half people really already know Agora. And also, please allow me to do a brief introduction for Agora for people not really familiar with Agora. So what Agora do is it provides a real-time platform, engagement platform that aims for helping people connect with each other. Developer can use Agora APIs to create applications with global video and audio communication features. Think of it as a building block so that you can use it to build your own Zoom and WhatsApp Live application. We already had several webinars in this series talking about how to use PubNub. How to use Agora APIs to build your application. Today, we're now going to focus on how to build a video call application from scratch. However, if you missed those webinars and you're interested in learning, feel free to send us an email to devrel@agora.io, and we are happy to send you the recorded videos, or you can check our documentation center at docs.agora.io. We do have a lot of articles which will help you build your own application. So today, what I'm going to show you is how to build messaging feature on video communication application. Many people want to build their own social applications. Messaging is definitely one of the most important features, but how to build that? You can definitely build it yourself using Google Firebase, but that's just a lot of work to do and a lot of maintenance as well. You also need to worry about the picture images, picture messages, emojis, stuff like that. It's just a little bit too much to handle. So I want to introduce PubNub. PubNub is Agora's partner who focus on building real-time messaging APIs. It provides a powerful SDK with live chat history, image messages, and emojis. You can visit pubnub.com for more information. Today, I'm going to show you how to use PubNub messaging SDK to send and receive chat messages into a one-to-one video call application. I have prepared you guys an Android starter code, which you can find it in the prerequisite of this webinar session. It is a one-to-one video call demo app from Agora Quick Start Guide. We're going to build our chat feature on it. So please download it to your Android Studio if you want to code along with me during this session. The goal for this session is that hopefully at the end of the webinar, everyone can know how to use PubNub to send and receive a chat message in the channel. So before we start, there are two things you need to prepare if you want to code along in this session. The first thing is an Agora app ID. You can visit Agora console at console.agora.io to create a project. And if you don't have an account, feel free to re-register one. The second thing is the PubNub account. You can visit PubNub website at pubnub.com and register one. Just click login on top right corner and you will be able to sign up. So I also paste the two link here. So this first one is Agora console. The second one, the PubNub website here. All right, with this starter code and the Agora app ID ready, we're going to start our first video of the session, which is going to go show you how to run the starter project. You will need the app ID for this first video. Before we start, does anyone have any questions at this point? If you have any questions in the video, you can also feel free to send it in the chat messages, and I will be there help you. But do you guys have any questions so far? All good? All right. If you don't have any questions, we're going to start the first session. And in the end of this webinar, we're going to have a Q&A session after all the videos. All right. So please get your starter code ready, and let's start the first video. First, you need to download the project from the GitHub repository. Simply clone it from the link and copy it to your Android Studio. When you finish download, you will be able to see a project like this. This is the Agora one-to-one video call Quick Start project. We are going to use it for today's webinar. In order to run this project, the first thing you need to do is to declare dependency for Agora Video SDK. In the app level build.gradle file, enter the following line to declare the dependency for Agora Video SDK. After that, click Sync Now on the top right corner. This will automatically download the SDK and sync the project. The next thing we need to do is open the string.xml file, and you can see here we have two strings, Agora app ID and Agora XX token, which is empty right now. We need to get it from the Agora console, click the project management and copy the app ID here. Since we're only using app ID authentication only for testing purpose, here we just paste our app ID here in the Agora app ID field. After these are done, we can actually run this Agora one-to-one video call project on two different devices. And actually, I'm going to run this on two Android emulators. You can click the Run button on the top right and run this project. When you finish compiling, you should be able to see something like this. These two devices are communicating between each other, and you can see there are several buttons: switch camera, mute mic, end call, and the start call button. So this is our starter project, and we're going to implement PubNub chat functionalities on it. All right. I do see one question in the question pool. Is the project Flutter related? This project is Android. It's not really Flutter, but we do have Flutter SDK. So you can download the Flutter SDK Quick Start, and you can follow a similar logic here. But this starter code is not Flutter related. All right, guys, are you guys following? Are you guys able to get the starter project run? Or if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. So this is a very very basic show you guys how to run our study project, and you can see from the demo that we have a logger on the top on the bottom left corner of our demo app, and we're going to replace that to our chat UI, and that's what we're going to show in the next video. But if you guys don't have any questions, let's jump directly to the next video, and in that video we're going to talk about how to import the PubNub SDK, how to create the chat UI. All right, second video is going to start very soon. In order to integrate PubNub in our application, we need to declare PubNub SDK dependencies. In the app level build.gradle file, enter the following code after the dependency for Agora Video SDK. We can see from PubNub website that the latest PubNub Android SDK is 4.33.3. So just copy that from the PubNub website to our Gradle file here. The next thing is to change the minimum SDK version from 16 to 24 and add a compare option bracket. Set both source compatibility and target compatibility to be Java version 1.8. After that, click Sync Now on the top right corner to sync the project. In order to use the PubNub SDK, we need to get the PubNub subscribe key and PubNub publish key from the PubNub console. Open PubNub website and click Login on the top right corner to go to PubNub console. If you don't have a PubNub account yet, you can sign up for it. In the console, click App and click Create New App. You can enter your app name here and select the app type as a chat app. After that, click Create, but since I already have the project created, so I'm going to use my existing project, but you can go ahead and create a new one. After creating the project, you'll be able to see your publish key and subscribe key. Copy the publish key and go back to our string.xml file. In the string.xml file, create a string called PubNub publish key and paste your publish key here as a string value. Similarly, copy your subscribe key from the PubNub console and create a string called PubNub subscribe key and paste the subscribe key value here as a string value. After that, let's jump to the activity video chat view.xml file. This is the file that defines the UI for our video call application. Let's scroll to the bottom and delete the logger recycler view. We are going to switch that with our chat view later. After deleting this in the XML file, let's jump to the video chat view activity and delete the unlock view instance, as well as all the other places we'll use the unlock view. After that, let's go to our activity video chat view.xml file and edit our UI for the application. Basically, what we're going to do here is first to add a recycler view, which will display all the chat messages. Second, we're going to add an edit text for user to enter their text messages. Last, we're going to add a button for user to send chat messages. Now let's create a recycler view and give it a name called message list. We are going to display the chat message here in this recycler view. Now create a leading layout and give it ID called message send layout. We're going to add the edit text for the chat messaging and the send button here in this layout. Create an edit text and give it an ID called message edit text. This is a place where user can enter their chat messages. Let's give it a white background. Go to colors.xml file and create a new color called white. Set the color value to be £6F, which stands for white. We also want to set the text color to be black, so similarly go to the colors.xml file and create a new color called black. Then let's create a text view which will act like a button when user want to send the text messages. Let's give it a name called send chat button. Also, let's set the onClick method for this button to be onSendClick. So whenever user clicks this button, the onSendClick method will be triggered. Now create a color called blue in the colors.xml file and set that to be the background for our text view. And that's all you need to do for this activity video chat view.xml file. So in the previous video, we show how to set up the UI for the set up the chat UI. So for people not familiar with Android, so let me just give you a very brief introduction of what we did for the UI. So we have a recycler view. Recycler view is it's a UI to it's like a list view, but it's like advanced list view to display all the chat messages history. We also have a text edit text on the bottom, so user can input their chat messages inside, and also we have another button which is a text view. But when people click that button, it means that he wants to send that chat message to the channel. So it's like a send chat message button. So that's all the three things we created in this UI. We're looking to share, yeah, so we're going to share, yeah, that's a good point. So we're going to share the video to you guys after the webinar, so don't worry, you will be able to see the high quality video. So in the next video, we're going to talk about how to how to init the PubNub client and create this recycler view. Since we already no, it's not created, but we already created the recycler view, but we need to initialize this recycler view. And we're going to create the item layout for the recycler view as well. Any questions? If no more questions, I think we can start the next video. Let's open the video chat view activity in the project. You can see here we have a lot of functions defined already for our one-to-one video application. You can see here in the onCreate method, there's a method called init engine and join channel. This is the core function for Agora SDK to initialize the RTC engine instance, prepare the local camera view, and join the channel. In order to implement the PubNub chat functionalities, we need to create a method called init PubNub client after the init engine and join channel method. In this method, we're going to initialize the PubNub client instance and subscribe to the same channel we joined in the video call. Let's create a PubNub configuration instance called pn configuration and PubNub instance called PubNub. In the init PubNub client method, define the PN configuration as a new PN configuration, and set the publish key and subscribe key as the one we saved in the strings file. Then we define the PubNub instance as a new PubNub and pass in the PN configuration inside as a parameter. PubNub use callbacks to handle different event scenarios. Here, we need to add listener for the PubNub instance and pass in a new subscribe callback in the parameter. As you can see here, there are many different callbacks. The one we're going to use here in the project is the message callback. This will be triggered whenever a message is received in the channel, which include both the remote messages and local messages. When this is triggered, the messages are returned in the PN message result parameter. The messages are stored in a JSON format in the PN message result. So first create a string called msg to receive the messages from the JSON result. Since this message callback will be triggered for both local messages and remote messages, we need to have a way to determine whether the current message is a local message or the remote message. When we successfully join the channel in this one-to-one Agora video application, the Agora Video SDK will return us a unique UID from the onJoin channel success method. What we are going to do here is we're going to pass this UID to PubNub and let it know that this is our local user UID. This can be achieved by calling setUUID on the PN configuration instance. After that, we can come back to the message callback and check if the current message is local message or remote message. If PN message result.getPublisher is not equal to the PN configuration.getUUID, that means this message is a remote user message. Then create a US thread runnable and display the message on the recycler view. But before that, let's define this recycler view first. So let's just leave a to-do here and work on the recycler view. We will come back to finish this later. First, create a recycler view variable called recycler view. Then, go into the init UI method and define this variable by calling findUById. Create a linear layout manager for this recycler view and set the orientation as vertical. Most recycler view needs an adapter, and we're going to create one for our recycler view as well. Create a class called messageAdapter for our recycler view. In this class, let's create an inner class called myViewHolder and extend recyclerView.viewHolder. In the layout folder, create a new XML file called messageItemLayout for the recycler view item. change the linear layout to the relative layout. In this XML file, create two relative layouts for remote messages and local messages. In each layout, create a colored background to display the sender ID. Also, create a text view to display the chat messages. Similar to most of the chat application, we are going to display the remote messages on the left part and the local messages on the right. Let's give the remote icon a red background. When the remote user sends the messages, his UID will be displayed on the red remote icon. I choose red for the remote user, but you can definitely choose your own color or set even a fancy picture for the remote icon. Then create a text view called remote message to display the remote user's messages. After we finish the remote message layout, simply do the same thing for the local message layout. What we can do here is simply copy the remote icon to the local message layout and change the name to local icon. Let's make some editing and give it a green background. Similarly, copy the UI from the remote message and copy it here for the local message. When they all finish, the last thing you need to do is to change the layout height for the overall layout to wrap content. After that, let's move back to our message adapter and finish editing our adapter. In the view holder, we need to define all the views we used in the item layout. First, declare all the views variables, then define them by using findViewById in the constructor. Here, you cannot directly call findViewById, but you need to use itemView.findViewById. Do the same thing for all the other views. The next thing we need to do is to extend the message adapter class to recycledView.adapter class. there are several methods need to be override. Press Option Return on the class name and you will see all the methods that need to be override. In our recycler view, our input will be a message list, so create a variable called message list in the message adapter class. In the message list, there will be a lot of messages. In each message, they will have several information, so we need to create the model class called message being. In each message being, they will have three information. First is the sender ID, which is an account. Then is the message. Last is a boolean, we call it bself. We need to use this boolean to know if this message is a local message or remote message. Press Option Return on any of the variables and you will be able to see the option to generate a constructor. Click that and it will automatically generate a constructor for us. Similarly, let's create a getter method and setter method for all the variables. And that is our message being model class. Now let's go back to the message adapter. Here in the list we defined before, let's give it a type as message being. This message being list will store all the chat information. Next, create a layout inflator and the constructor method for the message adapter class. We're going to use the constructor method to pass in the message being list value as a parameter. In the constructor method, first define the inflator as the activity context.get layout inflator. Next, passing the message being list in the parameter to our local variable. In the onCreateViewHolder method, we are going to create our view holder and return the view holder. First, create a view and inflate it with the message item layout we just created before. Then create the myViewHolder instance by calling the myViewHolder constructor and passing the view instance. Last, return this myViewHolder instance. In the onBindViewHolder method, we're actually going to set the item value for each of the recycler view item, which is the chat messages. For each position in the recycler view, we're going to get the corresponding message from the message being list. Then, check if this message is a local message or a remote message. If it is a local message, we're going to set its local icon as being.getAccount. We will set the icon information before we send the messages. Also, set the local message value as being.getMessage. If the message is a remote message, we're going to do similar thing, but the difference is this time we're going to set icon and message on the remote icon and remote messages. In the message item layout, we actually draw the UI for both local message and remote message. We need to determine which one to display based on whether the current message is a local message or a remote message. If the current message is a remote message, we're going to set the remote message UI as visible and set the local message UI as gone. Similarly, copy this line and do that for local message UI. Last, in the getItemCount method, return the total number of messages, which is messageBinList.size method. So in the last video, we just talked about how to set up the UI for the recycler view. In the next video, which is the last video, we're going to talk about how to send and receive chat messages in the PubNub using PubNub SDK. So without further ado, let's jump to the last video, and the video should start very soon. After finishing all the UI edit, let's go back to the video chat view activity. In the onMessage callback, we left the to-do here. Now our recycler view is ready. Let's display the remote messages on the recycler view. First, get the remote message sender ID by calling pmMessageResult.getPublisher. Then create a message being object and passing a count, message, and false, which indicate this is a remote message. After creating this message being object, we are going to put it in the message being list. First, create a private message being list variable. And let's give it a name called mMessageBeingList. We're going to use this to store all our chat messages which are going to be displayed on the screen. Come back to the message callback and add our message being to the mMessageBeingList we just created. In order to display the message on the recycler view, we need to use the message adapter we created before. Create a private message adapter object. Then, in the onCreate method, find the method called initUI, and in this method, define the message adapter and pass in the activity context and the message being list. After that, set the layout manager and adapter for our recycler view. When these are finished, come back to the message callback. Here, we add one message being to our message being list. We need to notify the adapter that the message being list size has changed. So call notifyItemRangeChanged method on our message adapter object. Pass in the new mMessageBeingList.size and number of items changed. Also, we need to update the recycler view position by calling scroll2position on the mRecycler view object. This is how we display the remote messages on the UI. As I mentioned before, the message callback is not only be triggered when the remote message is received. It will also be triggered when receiving local messages. So let's deal with the local messages. Create an else statement and create a UI thread worker in the statement body. Copy what we did for local messages and paste it for remote messages. The only thing we need to change here is to change the boolean from false to true, which indicates this is a local message. And that's all we need to do to display the messages on the UI. The last thing we need to do in this init PubNub client method is to subscribe to the channel. And the channel name should be the same as the one we used to join the video call functionality. In the join channel method, we can see that the demo app used demo channel 1 as the channel name for the video call functionality. What we're going to do here is create a global variable as a channel name and let video call and chat message join the same channel. Create a private string called channel name and set it to empty. Then goes to the onCreate method and find the init UI. In the init UI method, define the channel name as test. Here we hardcode the channel name to test, but you can change it to whatever you want. Or you can create a logic to let users to enter their own channel names. Next is go back to our join channel method and switch the hard-coded channel name demo channel 1 to the channel name object we just created. After that, let's go back to the init PubNub client method, and at the end of method, we're going to subscribe to the channel. Call pubnub.subscribe.channels and passing our channel name in the parameter. After that, call execute. This is how we subscribe to the channel, which means whenever there's a message in the channel, we're going to receive that. Now we know how to subscribe to the channel and receive chat messages. However, we haven't talked about how to send messages. Remember, in the XML file, we left a onClick method for the chat message send button. Let's implement it. In the activity, create a public void onSendClicked method. This should be the same name as the onClick method defined in the XML file. In this method, first we check if the call is ended. If the call is ended, we're not going to send anything to the channel, but simply create a toast to display a message saying you need to join the channel first. If we are in the call, we are going to get user input chat messages and send that to the channel. First, get the message from edittext.getText.toString. Next, we're going to create the message payload. Create a JSON object called messageJSONObject and passing our chat message inside using addProperty method. Then, publish the chat message to the channel. Call pubnub.publish.channel and passing our channel name, then call message and passing our messageJSON object. After that, create an async handler to handle the response callback. When the message has been successfully sent to the channel, let's reset our user input edittext. And this is how we send chat messages to the channel. Next, find the leave channel method, and in this method, we're going to unsubscribe all the channels. Call pubnub.unsubscribe.channels and passing the channel name. After that, call .execute. When user rejoins the channel, we need to subscribe to the channels again. Find the start call method, which was already defined for the video call functionality. In the method, call pubnub.subscribe.channels and put in our channel name. After that, call execute. And that is everything you need to integrate PubNub chat messaging in Agora one-to-one video call application. We can build and test our project. Okay, so in the last video, we just show how to actually receive and send chat messages in PubNub. So let's jump in back to this Q&A session. So we have Matthew here, who is the principal solution architect. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Anything about PubNub, Agora, we're very happy to answer. Meanwhile, while you guys are maybe thinking about your questions, so hi Matthew, I do have one question for you. So, um, I know PubNub is very power has a very powerful SDK, and what I just demonstrate in this session is a very basic feature in PubNub. Maybe would you like to share some more information about PubNub SDK? Maybe some suggestions and recommendations to developers. If you would you like to talk?
I'm gonna risk taking off the mute. Okay, can you? I'm assuming you can hear me. Yeah.
Yep, we can hear you right now.
Hi everyone. Thanks for attending the webinar today. So a super quick 101 on PubNub is real-time messaging infrastructure. You can basically push around the globe any kind of JSON-based payload. Typically, this is used for a sort of chat-based or real-time messaging applications. The platform itself attempts to deliver that in less than about 100 milliseconds, which is ridiculously fast to get a message from A to B all the way around the world. We work very closely with the team at Agora to deliver the signaling layers and the messages and session information. So if you guys were building a video and voice chat application, you would use PubNub to do things like the text and the information about sending session information, and then you'd use the Agora SDK to actually deliver the real-time video bit that we're looking at right now and stuff like that. So that's the kind of the crux for it. The platform itself has got an opening for a tier platform. So for the price of your email address, you get a full production ready key that's just limited to 1 million transactions, which is more than generous to get the kind of the service working and building a really great kind of chat application for pretty much no money at all. So I'm just going to drop that sign up link into the platform, and then you should be good to go there as well.
Yep. Matthew, another question. For developers, they really struggle with UI creation, stuff like that. Do you guys have any suggestions, or do you guys have any UI kit, stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do. We don't have a complete end-to-end UI bit. Typically, I found in the past that it's way easier to use the PubNub infrastructure to do things like all the API movements and stuff, and then you can either bring your designer to the platform, or you can use any of our kind of getting started UI kits to get you building on something. So we do have a number of sample demos that contain UIs in them, and then on top of that, you can take any of the sketch files we've got and modify that with your designer and bring it to the table. So let me just go ahead and drop those in the chat as well. Give me 2 seconds. One.
Cool.
And let me just grab the rest. We have quite a few. So we have started building out what we've got. We do have a regular chat style application, and then we also have a couple of UI kits to get you working on things like live streaming events and that kind of stuff. There's 2, and I believe we've got one more. There we go. There we go.
Cool. One last question from me. So I know that PubNub is also it also have some artificial intelligence features such as natural language processing, sentimental analysis. Would you like to share something about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of those bits that kind of come as part of what we call PubNub functions, which are our Lambda-style JavaScript containers that basically let you execute your business logic on the PubNub infrastructure. So in the same way that you would spin up a REST API to intercept that message, you could actually just take that code, put it on PubNub, and we'll host it on every live edge connection we've got. So every time a message comes in, you can do things like scan the message for profanity, read any of the text for either language translation, work out it's come from a device that's got English on it and it's going to somebody that speaks Spanish. So we need to do an English to a Spanish translation, as well as scanning the text for anything from things like profanity, which is a really common use case in teen and young adult apps, all the way through to sort of working out, is the customer saying anything relevant to a specific product keyword. If I'm in a customer chat experience and I'm talking to a customer about a highly specialized model number, can I read that model number and then go ahead and access that information to work out, is it a serial number or is it something internal to a customer database and things like that. So we've definitely got all the tools to help a customer be successful there.
Thanks for sharing. That sounds very interesting to me. Yeah, that's all my questions. So audience, you guys have anything to ask? Okay, I think they probably don't have much questions so far. Okay, cool. All right, Matthew, do you have anything else want to talk about or?
No, I'm great. I just want to thank everybody for your time today with and sticking with us with the video issues that we've had. The world isn't perfect, and right now everyone's living off of home broadband. So totally with you on that one. If you do have any follow-ups, feel free to email either of us, and we'll absolutely get together to make sure that all your video and text-based chat questions are answered.
Yeah, thank you. So from our side, we'll send you guys the recorded video. So it will be high quality, definitely, and so you guys can see the video without a problem. And all right, so thank you guys for coming to this webinar. If you have any future questions, you can send us an email to Deborah@Agora.io or join our Slack group. I will send the Slack group invitation here in the link. All right, thank you guys for joining, and wish you guys a very nice day.
Great, thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, bye.